Doctors Today. The latest discoveries in the world of medicine. Whether it happens in a Boston hospital, a Los Angeles laboratory, or a Chicago sanatorium, a new medical discovery is quickly known and used by physicians throughout the world. Here is the fascinating story of how doctors pool their knowledge for the common good of all mankind. The American Medical Association, in cooperation with the National Broadcasting Company and its independent affiliated stations, presents Doctors Today, a weekly report on the progress of medical science. This week, a report on the way that doctors work together for the protection and preservation of human life. We first hear Dr. W. Bauer speaking for the American Medical Association. Dr. Bauer.
In most occupations, it is a mistake to reveal the secret of your success. What would you think of an inventor who was willing to let anyone see the blueprint of his invention before he obtained a patent? But when a physician discovers something that is of value in saving lives or in the prevention of suffering, he cannot make a secret of his discovery.
Doctor, does this mean that a physician is not permitted to accept money for a drug that he discovers or an instrument that he invents to help cure a disease?
Under the code of ethics laid down by the American Medical Association, no doctor may receive money for patents or copyrights on surgical instruments, medicines, foods, techniques, or appliances.
But, Dr. Bauer, suppose a doctor should ignore this rule.
He might lose his membership in his state and county medical society and in the American Medical Association.
What is the reason for this rule, Doctor?
A doctor must practice the art of medicine not only to aid his own patients, but for the benefit of all mankind. Whatever he finds that will improve the practice of medicine or surgery becomes the common knowledge of his fellow physicians. He must also be a physician to his entire community.
In what way, Doctor?
Physicians, as good citizens, and because their training specially qualifies them, are expected to support public health activities of their communities. They bear their full part in enforcing its laws and in sustaining the institutions that advance the interests of humanity.
Could you give us some examples of the way doctors cooperate in the public interest?
Yes, Mr. McKee. For many years, doctors have freely contributed their time for radio talks in order to promote public health and keep people informed on the warning symptoms of disease. In Rochester, New York, for instance, the Monroe County Medical Society has been on the air over station WHAM for 18 years. This is the oldest continuously successful health broadcast in the world. Let's switch to Rochester, where Dr. Gordon H. Hemmett will tell us how they do it. We now take you to station WHAM, Rochester, New York.
Here is your medical report. The latest news of how modern medical science is helping to make your life longer, healthier, and happier. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the opening of the medical program broadcast each week over WHAM in Rochester, New York, by the Medical Society of the County of Monroe. And here is Dr. Gordon M. Hemmett, Chairman, Health Education Committee, to tell you about the program.
Now in its 18th year, we are proud that it is the oldest continuous weekly radio program of its kind in the world. It is broadcast to 1 million homes in western New York. But that alone is not important. Important now is the little story behind the story. Think back a moment. Remember the ignorance and superstition that used to surround such illnesses as heart disease, tuberculosis, and cancer? Or do you remember how only a few years ago The social diseases such as syphilis and gonorrhea were mentioned only in whispers behind closed doors. Have you wondered what has changed all that? My story is a small part of the explanation, only a small part of a much larger story of modern public health. 18 years ago, the Medical Society of the County of Monroe, here in western New York, decided that knowledge and good health go together. Let's tell the people in our community, they said, facts about cancer, tuberculosis, measles, nutrition, sanitation, and a host of other things they should know. Let's tell them in non-technical, everyday language. But how? The doctors had a novel idea. Why not use radio? No, radio had never been used for this purpose, and surely it wasn't customary for doctors or anyone else to talk frankly in public about such things as the gallbladder and kidneys. The doctors went ahead. The idea spread. Soon medical societies in other parts of the country sponsored similar programs. Then the Monroe County physicians broke another precedent. They boldly discussed syphilis and gonorrhea on the air. Once more, other medical programs on other stations followed suit. Today, over WHAM, the same station which has carried the Medical Society broadcast for 18 years, aided by the NBC network, we salute Dr. Walter A. Callahan, Dr. Ellis B. Sobel, Dr. Albert D. Kaiser, Dr. B.J. Slater, Dr. Walter C. Allen, and the other pioneer physicians who paved the way and cooperated in this great community service.
We return you now to Chicago.
Thank you, Dr. Hammett, and congratulations to the Monroe County Medical Society as a pioneer in the field of radio health education.
Dr. Bauer, one thing that impressed me about Dr. Hammett's remarks is that he and his colleagues had the courage to discuss the social diseases over the air.
Yes, that was a very daring experiment, wasn't it, Doctor?
Not only a very daring experiment, but a very important step in the right direction. For many generations, the progress of preventive medicine was in what might be called the Dark Ages, largely because people were unwilling to talk about such diseases as syphilis and gonorrhea and cancer. So long as such things remain skeletons in the family closet, the family doctor is seldom called until it is difficult, if not impossible, to effect a cure.
Doctor, I remember taking a course in health in high school, and to me it was rather dull. Isn't there some way of making the subject more interesting in view of the fact that it is so important?
Of course there is. Let me show you what they're doing in Cleveland. We have invited Dr. Lester Taylor to tell us about the Cleveland Health Museum and the part that the Cleveland Academy of Medicine played in the development of the Cleveland Health Museum. We take you now to station WTAM, Cleveland.
Possible to learn the structure and functioning of your body and the rules of healthy living merely by pushing buttons, pulling levers, twirling knobs, and turning cranks. Such a thing is possible at the unique place I'm going to tell you about, the Cleveland Health Museum. The story of the Cleveland Health Museum starts back in 1936. At the invitation of the Academy of Medicine of Cleveland, representatives of 23 institutions met to discuss possibilities of a permanent health education display for greater Clevelanders. Back of that meeting had been months of informal discussions among medical, dental, and public health groups. General agreement had already been reached as to the advantages of setting up a central source to acquaint the public with advances in medical and health sciences, as well as to inform them of known health facts. During the summer of '36, the Academy of Medicine and those interested in public health tested public interest through a single room of health exhibits in the Great Lakes Exposition. Though the exhibits were a quarter of a mile from the crowd center, attendance was most satisfactory. With that experience, the doctors and dentists of Cleveland took about 600 annual membership, the base of the present Health Museum. Cleveland Health Museum has grown since its opening in 1940. 7 days each week, its doors open to the many visitors, big and small, young and old, rich and poor, professional and otherwise. Round-the-clock activities are conducted for those who come seeking knowledge, advice, and training, equipment for better living. The Medical Professional Committee checks all exhibits for scientific accuracy. The Cleveland Health Museum has wholehearted support from both individuals and civic leaders, among which the Cleveland Academy of Medicine is the leader. It is maintained entirely by memberships and contributions. Cleveland has the distinction of having opened the first health museum in the United States not connected with any other institution. Already it has inspired the formation of another health museum in Dallas, Texas, and another in Mexico City. There is every indication that Manila, the Philippines, and Bogota, Colombia, will have health museums. It is the hope of the Parrott Museum's director, Dr. Bruno Gebhardt, that every city of 250,000 persons will have such an institution. There is no doubt that the vigorous educational policy of the Health Museum is bridging the gap between medical science and its application. Its program inspires men, women, and children to apply scientific knowledge to their individual welfare. For the Cleveland Health Museum believes, as did St. Augustine when he wrote, "Man wonders over the restless sea, the flowing water, the sight of sky, and forgets that of all wonders, man is himself the most wonderful."
We return you now to Chicago.
Our thanks to you, Dr. Taylor, for pointing out the value of a health museum.
Imagine being able to learn all about the human body by pushing buttons, pulling levers, and turning cranks. Oh, I wish I were in Cleveland.
And now, let me give you another demonstration of the way that doctors cooperate in promoting community health. The Jackson County Medical Society of Missouri has led in public health education for many years through radio programs and public lecture series. To bring the story of its work to you, we now present Dr. Paul N. Johnstone, Chairman of the Radio Advisory Committee of the Jackson County Medical Society. We take you now to station WDAF in Kansas City.
Thank you, Dr. Bauer. We in Jackson County are indeed keenly interested in public health education and have found radio a very effective medium of reaching the greatest number of those interested in improving the first and most important of high living standards, good health. All Kansas City radio stations present regular programs for the Jackson County Medical Society. We have found dramatized radio programs effective, and especially well received is the broadcast of speeches, interviews, and roundtable discussions from the yearly meeting in October of the Kansas City Southwest Clinical Society. Every possible opportunity to present valuable medical information to the public is seized by the Society's Radio Advisory Committee. Interviews of doctors of medicine visiting Kansas City, special conferences and lectures are presented to the public in an understandable manner so as to keep the lay citizen informed on latest scientific findings and to aid him in the preservation of his most precious possession, his health. In conjunction with the work of the Jackson County Medical Society's Radio Advisory Committee, a most praiseworthy public service has been performed by the merchants and civic leaders of Kansas City who are financially responsible, and by the lady of this community who inspired and founded the Kansas City Health Forum. It gives me great pleasure to present her to you now, Mrs. Ruth A. Hirsch.
Thank you, Dr. Johnstone. The Jackson County Health Forum is sponsored by the Women's Auxiliaries of the 6 accredited hospitals of Jackson County, with the Medical Society acting in advisory capacity. The objective of the forum is preventive medicine before serious illness occurs. The Health Forum brings outstanding specialists in their particular field of medicine throughout the United States. to talk to the laity on vital everyday health subjects on the third Wednesday night of each month, September through April. These doctors are not paid for their talks. However, the forum pays all their traveling expenses and hotel bills. The lectures are held free of charge in the little theater of the Municipal Auditorium. The expense to conduct this series would be over $200,000 a year in order to cover newspaper, bulletin, and radio advertising, the outside signboards, and the placards carried on all streetcars and buses from year to year.
Included also is our office rent and auditorium where the lectures are held. All these services and facilities are donated. Thus, we are required to raise from the citizens $1,500 yearly to pay for the printing of 2,000 monthly posters and the postage sent to all business firms, schools, and hospitals for their bulletin boards and entire traveling expenses of our speakers. Only the $1,500 is actually paid by the forum. September 15th this year begins the 12th season of these lectures, which have in attendance 1,000 to 1,500 people at each lecture, and we are looking forward to another successful series.
Thank you, Mrs. Hirsch. We return you now to Chicago.
Our thanks to Dr. Johnstone and our congratulations to Mrs. Ruth Hirsch on the Kansas City Health Forum.
Sounds like they're doing a good job in Rochester, Cleveland, and Kansas City, but where else are your medical men entitled to a special pat on the back?
Well, I think all America should know what they're doing in the way of health education for the rural schools in Tennessee. And I am now privileged to present Mr. V.O. Foster, Assistant Secretary of the Tennessee Medical Association, speaking from Nashville. We take you now to station WSM, Nashville.
In Tennessee, we're no longer teaching health to the tune of the hickory stick. We're teaching part of it by radio. And the Tennessee State Medical Association is making a quarter-hour, 12-week radio health program available to the elementary schools of the state. The series entitled Health Heroes is used for these broadcasts. Health Heroes is produced by the American Medical Association as an instructional aid for health teachers. Rural schools often lack adequate health instruction materials. Frequently, teachers are poorly trained for health teaching. It is recognized that schools in Tennessee are doing a poorer job of health instruction than in any other school subject. The Tennessee State Medical Association is glad to offer Health Heroes to schools. Health education by radio has become a valuable part of school health. Health education by radio has several advantages. It is interesting, it can be a large area, and it provides health teachers with accurate and dependable factual information. The mechanics of setting up a radio school program is simple. First, the approval of the local medical society is secured. The 12-week radio program is then described to school officials and teachers. If they want the program, the local radio station is requested to allot the necessary radio time. Since the programs are used for classroom listening, they are broadcast during school hours. All elementary teachers in the county, city, or broadcast area of the radio station are provided with a printed, detailed lesson plan for the 12-week series. These guides give the teacher a preview of the entire series. They contain suggestions for making the best use of the broadcasts. They suggest things for the pupil to do, both for preconditioning and for follow-up of each program. The subject of these 12 programs are usually found in every basic course in health instruction, thus making it easy for the series to be fitted into any teaching plan. Although these programs are not intended as an exclusive health instruction program, they do provide teachers with a well-planned nucleus of health instruction for a 12-week period. As a rule, all other health instruction is suspended during the presentation of these radio programs. This is not a criticism of teachers. It is a tribute to the quality and value of the radio program as an instructional plan for health teaching. Teachers find that most of the lesson planning has been done for them for a 3-month period. Scores of letters have been received from superintendents, supervisors, health educators, teachers, and pupil alike praising these special school health broadcasts. Requests for another series are frequently made. Yes, health education by radio is practical, interesting, and effective. The Tennessee State Medical Association is happy to make this contribution to the schools of the volunteer state. Physicians in Tennessee, school administrators, and the public alike believe that health should be the first cardinal objective of education.
We return you now to Chicago.
And congratulations to the Tennessee Medical Association.
Dr. Bauer, how do doctors find the time to do all these things in addition to their regular practice?
I'll answer that question with a brief quotation from our Code of Ethics. In order that the dignity and honor of the profession may be upheld, a physician should associate himself with medical societies and contribute his time, energy, and means in order that these societies may represent the ideals of the profession. And now, let's hear what Dr. Llewellyn R. Cole, professor of clinical medicine at the University of Wisconsin, has to tell us about what the medical societies of Wisconsin are doing to promote health education. We take you now to station WTMJ in Milwaukee.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bauer, and good afternoon, folks. The State Medical Society of Wisconsin has contributed tremendously to the health progress here within the state during this past century. This state organization of physicians was launched, and it had its charter granted by the territorial legislature in 1841, and it's been contributing to medical progress in this state since its March of Medicine began here. Now, in 1850, the regents of our University of Wisconsin and a representative of the State Medical Society conferred with the university chancellor about the establishment of a medical school there. In 1851, the society urged the passage of a bill which would legalize the dissection of human bodies. Then in 1856, the medical group, recognizing the imperative need for a state hospital for mentally sick folks, called upon our legislature for such a hospital. During that same year, our medical society set up what was essentially an examining board for those who wanted to practice within our borders. In 1860, the Wisconsin Medical Journal was established. Following the Civil War, the Medical Society asked for state legislation to provide for the care of imbeciles, and it urged education of the blind as the state's obligation. Our state medical group urged the establishment of a state board of health, and today Wisconsin has one of the top-ranking organizations of its kind in this country. Dr. Nicholas Senn, in 1878, urged legislation in his inaugural address to improve public health. 5 years later, the Medical Society scored again by suggesting to the State Board of Health that measures be taken to control tuberculosis. Later, diphtheria control became a matter of fact through Society and Health Board's efforts. In 1895, initiation of legislation was carried out by the Society for the Prevention of Blindness in Babies. Internship legislation was prompted by the medical group in 1920, and the first basic science law was passed in 1925 as a result of society efforts. The State Society has pioneered in sickness and hospital insurance, and early in 1945 it extended its program of health education by means of weekly radio broadcasts. And today this program, the March of Medicine, is heard from 23 radio stations each week. Now I might go on and list many more contributions to the constant effort of our State Medical Society of Wisconsin to improve health, but my time is gone. However, I do leave the fact with all of you folks that Wisconsin has reached its present highly satisfactory health status only through the very unselfish efforts of its own State Medical Society over this past 100 years. The March of Medicine here has always been and will always continue to be forward.
We return you now to Chicago.
Thank you, Dr. Cole, and congratulations to the physicians of Wisconsin for a job well done.
Well, Dr. Bauer, I can see now how much can be accomplished when doctors work together.
Yes, it's surprising how much they do that we never hear about.
Every doctor has a job to do that extends far beyond the limits of his practice. In Cincinnati, for example, they have pooled all the health agencies into a single public health federation, and they're doing a remarkable job. We've invited Dr. Carl A. Wilsbach, a counselor of the Ohio State Medical Society, to tell us about it. And so we take you now to station WLW in Cincinnati.
Where doctors and lay people, health departments and voluntary agencies in local communities pool their efforts, things get done. In many places, there isn't any active machinery for getting them together. Cincinnati has shown that there is value in good teamwork. For 30 years, the Cincinnati Public Health Federation has been the organization through which all local health groups and interested lay people work for coordinated planning. It is made up of representatives of all these forces. Members of the Academy of Medicine serve on every one of its 13 divisions: child hygiene, cancer, diabetes, heart disease, nutrition, mental hygiene, and half a dozen others. The Dental Society, the Nurses, and the Pharmacists Association take an active part, too, and so does the Health Department and the Cincinnati College of Medicine. Except for one period, the president of the Federation has always been a doctor. Besides, half the members of this governing board are doctors who guide the medical aspects of the various programs. It is a large and active group. An average of 40 of them come together the first Monday of the month, and they take up every problem that affects the health of the public, from rat control and housing to stream pollution, smoke abatement, and the growing challenge of chronic diseases. It has an active paid staff and superior volunteers who assist. Well, is this all on paper, or are things getting done? Years ago, the Federation set up an active program in heart disease, cancer, and diabetes control. When few local communities were doing much along these lines, that has helped to prevent these diseases and also provide for their care. More recently, new councils on health education and nutrition have been stimulated into action. It has an organized and directed successful bond issue to build a new clinic at the Cincinnati Hospital, a new chronic disease hospital, and in cooperation with the Anti-Tuberculosis League, a new tuberculosis hospital. It sponsored the community's central mental hygiene clinic and a clinic for Negroes. It carries on a comprehensive program of health education in cooperation with the health departments and the Academy of Medicine. Its most spectacular single education program, in cooperation with the Academy of Medicine, was in appendicitis. In a 17-year period, the appendicitis death rate has been reduced 90%, from one of the highest to one of the lowest among American cities. The American Medical Association believes, as does the Cincinnati Academy of Medicine, that the organization of all community forces with a common interest in health into councils or federations is one of the best ways to assure high standards of health for all the people.
We return you now to Chicago.
Thank you, Dr. Wilsbach, and congratulations to the Cincinnati Public Health Federation. And now I should like to tell you briefly a little of what the American Medical Association has done on a nationwide basis. Since 1911, the American Medical Association and the National Education Association have participated in a joint committee on health problems in education. This committee published the first, and for a long time the only, standard text on health education. It has also helped in the solution of many school health problems. The Association's Division of Fitness in the Bureau of Health Education was established at the close of World War II to expand the interest and activity of the Association in health and fitness. The latest single event of consequence in this march of progress was a conference on the place of the physician in the school, called by the American Medical Association and participated in by medical and educational representatives from 40 states. When we say doctors cooperate, we do not mean they just say yes, yes. When doctors cooperate, They roll up their sleeves, and things happen for the betterment of the public health.
Doctors Today is presented by the American Medical Association through the facilities of the National Broadcasting Company and its independent affiliated stations. The orchestra is under the direction of Bernard Berquist, with original music composed by Emil Soderstrom. The entire production is under the direction of Norman Felton. Your announcer is Henry Cook. This is NBC, the National Broadcasting Company.